I would like to introduce Madam Judy Gino, the Executive Director of Global Compact Network Kenya. And allow me to go through her bio. Madam Judy Gino is an Executive Director of the Global Compact Network Kenya, a role she has held since April 2013. She provides strategic leadership to promote responsible business practice aligned with the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact and Sustainable Development Goals. Supporting over 1,000 companies, Judy has successfully driven the integration of sustainability into business strategies and operations across the private sector. Under her leadership, the network has become a leading platform for mobilizing business action towards sustainable and inclusive growth. She also manages strategic partnership with government, the private sector, the UN agencies, and donor. Previously, Judy led a responsible business program at Ufadhili Trust and worked with the Samaritan Path on community water and sanitation projects. She holds a master's in project planning and management from the University of Nairobi and a BA in counseling, psychology, and community development from Daystar University. Judy is also a national expert on ISO 26,000. Let us put our hands together as we welcome Madam Judy Gino.
Thank you very much, Stella, for that warm introduction, and a very warm good morning to all of you. Good morning. Would like to feel some energy from you, but allow me to start first by thanking each and every one of you for making time to be with us this early morning, and thank you so much for keeping time. I think everybody was here by 9 o'clock, which was going to be our hard start, and the room was full, and we're very happy to see that we have quite a number of important stakeholders that will be able to carry on the day with as we discuss important issues of safer livelihoods in fishing and aquaculture. So as I begin, allow me to just recognize all of you present here this morning, but also to call out a few important stakeholders. We have with us Ms. Patricia Furtado, who's the global lead of the Ocean Center, and she's with us here from Brazil. Patricia, most welcome, karibu. We also have Mr. Samuel Munyika, who's the director at the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services. Mr. Munyika, we recognize your presence. We have Nicholas Okeo, who's the research coordinator, Marinas for Action. Stella Sululu, our very able MC, who's an environmental officer at Stella Maris here in Kenya. We have also in the room beach management unit leaders and community representatives, representatives of the civil society, regulators. We have a number of government agencies who are also playing a very important role in ensuring that we advance a safe and sustainable ocean economy. So all distinguished guests, all our partners here, friends of the ocean, we really welcome you to this day's conversation. As you've heard, we welcome you to this 6th workshop, which will focus on safer livelihoods in fishing and aquaculture. It's a series of workshops that we've held, and I can see quite a number of the people in the room have been with us as we've run through the different workshops to expose a lot of the knowledge around the opportunities as well as the challenges that we are faced with in our ocean economy. And so we are gathered here together in a shared purpose to explore the practical ways we can strengthen safety, enhance decent work, promote inclusion, and protect the environment in Kenya's coast. So you've heard a lot about these ocean centers, but I wanted to also ground the work that we do as a global compact globally, because this ocean center is an initiative of some of the work that we are driving with the private sector globally to advance responsible business conduct. So for those of you who might not know, and we are happy to share more information and possibly even interest some of you to consider joining our global movement, the United Nations Global Compact is the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative that calls on the business community to align their business strategies as well as operations with a set of universal values that we call the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact. So these principles cover 4 key issue areas, which is business respect for human rights, business respect for labor rights, advancing environmental stewardship, as well as acting collectively against corruption. As an UN initiative, we also have a mandate to mobilize the global business community to support the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm really delighted to also see we have a number of our signatory participating companies in the room. I think I've heard of AVA. I've also seen, I think there's one other company, Ufanisi Freighters. So we really welcome your engagement as we also drive focused work on environment as well as labor in the ocean economy. So at the heart of our global movement, the UN Global Compact, we have a simple belief, which is responsible leadership can transform markets and societies for the better. And Global Compact Network Kenya is the country network where this initiative is currently housed. We are engaging close to 300 signatory companies in Kenya, which represent the largest network of responsible businesses in Africa and the Middle East region. Our mission here is simple, is to make responsible business practice the norm and to catalyze practical action that delivers results for people and planet. So while we are a business-led, business-focused initiative, we do acknowledge the important role that private sector can play, partnering together with civil society, academia, government to deliver on our sustainable development agenda. And so we are a platform to convene all you stakeholders to dialogue, but also to drive practical solutions to some of our most pressing challenges as presented by the SDGs. The Ocean Centers, as you will hear, is part of this broader commitment that we are advancing under the UN Global Compact. It is hosted by our global office, the UN Global Compact, and it is supported by the Lloyd's Register Foundation. And the Ocean Centers initiative, as you've heard from Patricia, is currently running in 7 countries across the globe. And we have 2 centers that have been set up here in Kenya, as well as Ghana. So we are very privileged that we have partners that see the value of building out and supporting the growth of our ocean economy here in Kenya, because only 2 countries in the continent have been selected to champion this important initiative. And so the focus, as you've heard, is we are looking to address regional safety challenges and advancing responsible business across ocean-based economies. The strategy of our global movement speaks directly to our workshop today. We are calling for bold leadership that is credible and that is grounded in action, where we can mobilize business to turn ambition into measurable impact for sustainable development. So our moderator here today has done a very good job in providing context for why we are here today. But allow me to just elaborate a bit more. Kenya's coastal waters, as you all know, are more than a scenic nature or treasure. They are a source of food, employment, trade, and cultural identity. For millions of families, fishing and aquaculture are the backbone of everyday life. Yet the people working in these sectors face persistent safety and livelihood challenges that we cannot ignore. We've seen unsafe vessels. We also have had, accounts of the inadequacy in equipments that continue to put lives at risk at sea. We've also observed limited access to protective gear, which increases the likelihood of injury. We've also seen that women and youth and young people often shoulder the disproportionate risk and insecurity when we have these, safety deficits. And climate change, which you all are experiencing and you all know is a current crisis, is even introducing bigger uncertainty with rough seas, flooding, and unpredictable weather patterns, which are affecting this sector and the daily operations where a number of our people are involved in. So these are not distant concerns. So what we are discussing here today are not far removed from the reality that we are all faced with. They are present realities and they demand action. So we see clearly that at landing sites here in Mombasa, workers lift heavy crates of fish without gloves or protective footwear. We've also seen slippery surfaces and sharp tools increase the risk of cuts and falls. Women who are engaged in this sector, cleaning and sorting fish in crowded spaces, often endure burns, injuries, and harassment, often without stable income or adequate protection. And I had someone in the room also mention that we need to also look at the human rights, aspect as we drive this conversation. So really, our conversation is also situated in those bigger themes around decent work and how we ensure that this sector also protects the rights of those marginalized and most vulnerable communities. And so these conditions are preventable, and simple occupational safety measures, appropriate protective equipment, and better workspace design can significantly reduce harm and protect livelihoods. It is in response to this reality that we gather here today. So this workshop, we really just want to identify together with yourselves the practical steps and also to get the opportunity to share proven solutions and agree on actions that communities, leaders, partners, private sector can play in implementing, strengthen safety, sustainability, and dignity across this sector. So I'd like to recognize the important role of the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health and the Occupational Safety and Health Authority in strengthening safety and decent work standards. Their expertise and guidance are vital in turning good intentions into safer work practices. Ladies and gentlemen, safe livelihoods depends on collective action, and that's why in this room we have a cross-sector of representation from government institutions, the private sector, we have community leaders, civil society organizations, and frontline workers who all are playing a role in implementing practical safety measures, championing this important cause, and of course expanding decent work, leading to the building of resilience to climate and economic risks. So today's workshop moves beyond discussion. Yes, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from your real-life experiences as frontline stakeholders, but this platform is also one to help us move beyond awareness to shared solutions that can put the theory into practice. And so by the end of this workshop, I hope we'll have a clear community-informed recommendations for improving safety and sustainability in fishing and aquaculture here in Kenya. We are also looking at a roadmap for stronger collaboration amongst government, community groups, operators, and civil society. And we are eagerly looking towards concrete next steps to embed safety practices and decent work principles across the value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that the ocean connects us. It sustains us, sustains our communities. It fuels our economy. And so let us work collectively to ensure that those who depend on it can work with safety, dignity, and resilience. So I thank you all for your kind attention, and we look forward to a very productive day. And we call on you to engage robustly. Feel free to share your insights, your perspectives, your experiences, and we believe that together we'll be able to co-create solutions towards a sustainable and safe ocean economy for Kenya, because we do see the opportunity that the blue economy has and the untapped potential that we have to really make it an economic powerhouse, as we've seen with agriculture, we've seen with manufacturing and other sectors of our economy. I think the onus is on all of us in this room to look at broader issues, even beyond safety, and how we can unlock the full potential of this sector. So with those few remarks, allow me to stop there and invite our global lead for oceans, Ms. Patricia Furtado, who is here all the way from Brazil, and we are really delighted because she's taken this round, the globe trip to be able to give that global perspective of how we can also share beyond just the Ocean Center here in Kenya, but to also allow us to cross-learn and cross-pollinate ideas with the other centers that you've had. Some of those economies are leading in this sector, like India, Indonesia, Bangladesh. And so we also see the opportunities with the Ocean Center Kenya to provide a launchpad where all of us can also cross-pollinate around ideas and innovations with other markets that have gone further ahead of us. So Patricia will also share with you additional perspectives of what she's seen from her visits in the other countries, and also share with you what the plans are for the Ocean Center as we move beyond this scoping phase. So Patricia, welcome, and thank you all again for your attention.
On the ground, what is the price of the fish that arrives in our plate to eat? And I'm very happy that I saw that Kenya is one of the African countries that has already ratified the Convention 188 of ILO. It entered into force in 2023. Great, it's an important commitment on the global level of the government of Kenya. But we know about all the challenges to implement it. That's why these discussions on oceans, in occupational ocean, I'm always repeating the ocean, in occupational safety and health are so important. And the work that we want to develop with you through the ocean centers is really to provide support, even for the government, for this implementation. But yes, we also want to grow the blue economy in Kenya, the ocean economy in Kenya. But is it possible to do that without taking care of the workers, without looking at the conditions in which they are working? That's why through the ocean centers we are saying that we are not just promoting a sustainable ocean economy, as you can listen on the global platforms and conferences. We want to promote a safe and sustainable ocean economy, because we believe that without safety, no economy can be sustainable, not at all. Sustainability is a term that started to be more discussed after the 80s, the 90s. Then we started to listen to this triple bottom line, that it was how to have profit, how to provide support for the planet, how to protect people. So we were talking about the environment, the social, and the economy. But now we have also the ESG. That is more about measuring data. It has to do with investment. Now, companies and governments need to provide data and evidence about what they are doing. So now we are in a very special moment in which we can demand, in which we can see who is complying. Because those industries that are not looking into that, they will not thrive. This is clear now. They will not have investments to grow. And this is part of our discussion here. That's why we believe that the ocean centers can really support the country in all levels to arrive in this result. You can see here the logo of the ocean centers. It's not just a beautiful or any logo. It's the design of a shell. And at the same time, it's the infinite, because we want to grow in many ways. Yes, we are starting now with the 7 countries. We want to scale to other countries. But it's not that. It's not only that. It's also about the impact we want to give. And this logo is also a shell, because we want to listen from you. And I'm happy that many of you have said that you want to learn. You want to listen to what we are bringing here. What? I just hope that nobody will get hurt, but I'm sure they will take care of that. So going back to the logo, it's about listening, but it's also about amplifying your voices. You can see in many paintings in all countries and mythologies, you can see people listening to the sea, but also using this shell to call. So that's what the Ocean Centers is about. And talking, I was listening from where each of you come from. And I'm very happy that she addressed gender, that we have a kind of storyteller here, someone working with communities, with children. We have all sectors here. And thank you, Olive and Judy, for gathering all these representations here. And that's why it's important also to have the people online, because we want to be as much inclusive as possible. Not only talking about the sectors and the diversity of people we have here, but also giving space for those that couldn't be present here, maybe because they live in other parts of Kenya. And we want to give the chance for them to listen and to talk. So your participation in the Ocean Centers for us is extremely valuable. The Ocean Centers, even if they have this name, centers, they're completely decentralized. The Ocean Centers in reality is an ecosystem of people inside the countries, as the projects are 100% locally led. But at the same time, we want to promote these exchanges between different countries, not only inside the Ocean Centers, but even beyond. Because we believe in collective action, in co-creating solutions, in exchanging the challenges and the solutions that different countries can find to promote these safe and sustainable ocean economies. And going back to the ILO 188 Convention and to occupational safety and health, we know what our fishermen, what people working in aquaculture, the challenges they are facing, especially nowadays, with new challenges as climate change, that in reality I say climate crisis, the climate urgency, because those working on the ground, they know, depending on the country where they are, maybe the weather is much more hot. It's difficult to use nowadays some PPIs, or maybe they're not comfortable. Those working in aquaculture, sometimes they're supposed to use gloves, and it's difficult sometimes to harvest, sometimes to use feet. So many challenges to adapt also the PPEs that have been used. And what about the infrastructure of the boats? Talking about small-scale fishers, but also big industries. Now we have new fuels that are arriving. How to deal? Talking about the big ones, talking about shipping, ammonia, methanol, hydrogen, and others. But with the little fishermen that are there, that from generations, they have exploited this area to feed their communities, to feed their families. Sometimes they are working in areas where now we are building the offshore wind farms that, yes, are important, but how it impacts them? How does the shipping industry impacts them? We have to develop this systemic vision about what is impacting what and how to protect the workers. This is key for us. That's why we say that without the workers, no ocean business can exist. And without doing our best to create safe conditions for those working on the ground, no economy can thrive. And even talking about investments, we see on global platforms that social indicators, human rights indicators, safety indicators, they're becoming more and more important. And the industries that will not look at that, in some time, maybe now they can have investments, because people are looking more sometimes to the environment. But at a certain point, they will have to show what they are doing for the workers. Sometimes when you think of sustainable fisheries, for example, people look very much to the fishing stocks and the fishers. And for us, it's also very important, yes, to address gender, yes, to look at the communities. Because we want that these men that goes into the sea, we want them to come back to their wives, to their children. We don't want just the fish arriving in the markets. We want people going back to home safely. It's horrible what we still see nowadays. Judy commented, yes, I'm traveling throughout the countries. In Indonesia, for example, I visited a port in Bali. Okay, I'm finishing. I visited a port in Bali where I saw the fishermen there without shoes, without gloves, throwing tuna that they have collected into the deep sea, in the more far away from the ports, they were bringing this tuna and putting that on trucks so that it could go to the markets. And you know which market? To very expensive restaurants in Tokyo, in Japan. What is the price of this sashimi? You know, the Ocean Centers is about that. I selected something that I was reading yesterday, and I thought of reading to you, and I think it's very, very important to say that before concluding. From an investment perspective, safety reduces risk. From a policy perspective, safety strengthens legitimacy. From a community perspective, safety builds trust. And from a moral perspective, safety is non-negotiable. We were working for that. Are we going to make the changes? We don't know. We believe we will. But it's by collective action that we can make any change. And even if it's a little change, we are here to give our best to arrive there. And that's why each of you is important. Because it's not an output we want to reach. It's like I'm saying of Ocean Centers or UN Global Compact. It's we as people that are sharing a same unique ocean in this planet. Because the ocean belongs to all of us. Thank you.
I'll invite Mr. Samuel Mnyika, and before comes here, allow me to read his bio of Mr. Samuel Mnyika Mwasambo, the Directorate of belongs in the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services. Samuel worked with the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services as an occupational safety and health officer, where he enforced the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, and its subsidiary legislation to improve workplace safety and the health of workers. He also trains workers' health and safety committees across various sectors, imparting knowledge on hazard identification, risk assessment, and mitigation measures to ensure safe and healthy workplace. Let us put our hands together as we welcome Mr. Samuel.
Good morning. I'll be taking on OSH hazards in aquaculture and fisheries. We all know what aquaculture is, but just to remind you, aquaculture is the growing of food and rearing aquatic animals in water for human consumption, that is aquatic food. This is done within confined areas, either offshore or onshore. And lately we have seen the growing of some fodder known as azolla in aquaculture. In Mombasa, we also have aquarium aquaculture for ornamental fish. Fisheries are high-risk occupations due to the numerous hazards of the work environment, which is on or in waters. Understanding these hazards are crucial for staying safe. Therefore, aquaculture production sites and fisheries are workplaces requiring the application of legislation, codes of practice, and policies for workplaces to ensure safe and healthy work environments for workers, as provided for by the ILO Work in Fishing Convention 188, and our very own legislation, the Occupational Safety and Health Act 2007 laws of Kenya, and the subsidiary legislation. Now, this subsidiary legislation is in form of rules made under the OSH Act, which expands the scope of the various sections. Health and safety at the workplace is a basic human right. To achieve this requirement, the Occupational Safety and Health Act ensures decent work at workplaces through its various provisions that make work humane. Let us look at some of these requirements of the OSH Act. For all workplaces, it's important that it's a requirement for the registration of workplaces. And during the registration process, it's now online, you have to fill some information. You have to declare the hazards at your workplace. You have to describe the workplace. You have to state the number and gender of persons employed. You also have to state whether you are having persons with disability. You also have to state the welfare facilities in place. The requirements of the OSH Act also require that you carry out medical examinations of workers exposed to known hazards as per the medical examination rules. We have rules that directly deal with workplace diseases. And the carrying out of these medical examinations, it's not just any doctor that does it. Under the OSH Act, we have people known as DHPs. They're designated health practitioners. So those are the ones allowed by law to carry out medical examinations of workers. It's also a requirement under the OSH Act to report and carry out investigations of workplace accidents. So there are methods, clear methods of reporting. We have various forms. And the first form that the employer will use, or a self-employed person will use, is a form known as DOSH-1. That one is brought to us, and then we look at it. And then if investigations are required, we start immediately. It's also a requirement that an employer should develop a health and safety policy for the workplace. We know what a policy is. A policy is a guideline of what we do and how we do it. So a safety policy is a guideline on what measures we have put to enhance and uphold safety at our work environment. So it is a requirement that you have a health and safety policy for the workplace. Also, under the OSH Act, there's a requirement for training. There's a training of health and safety committee teams. Workplaces are supposed to have health and safety committees, having representation both from the management and the workers. Also, at the workplaces, we are supposed to have first aid teams. Those ones are also supposed to be trained. And also, we have the fire safety teams, which also require the members to be trained. The OSH Act also requires the carrying out of risk assessment of the workplace and employing mitigation measures as per the findings of the risk assessment. It's important to know the risks at the workplace, and this can only be done through carrying out of the risk assessments. The OSH Act also imposes occupational safety and health duties to the employer and employees. They are the do's and the don'ts for both. The OSH Act, Occupational Safety and Health Act, requires the carrying out of plant examination for equipment and machinery under the mentioned categories. So all lifting equipment and tackle are supposed to be examined so as to ensure safety. 1 minute. How? I've just started. This is very important. The other category of equipment is the pressurized vessels. These ones must also be examined under law. The OSH Act also requires the carrying out of statutory audits for the workplace. That is the occupational safety and health audit, the fire audits, the risk assessment audits, air quality audits, noise audits, and electrical safety audits. The carrying out of these workplace inspections also is a must under the OSH Act. So apart from the OSH officers who go inspecting the workplaces to identify the hazards, we also have the workplace occupational safety and health teams and also designated auditors. These auditors are experts out there in the field who apply to be enabled to be auditors under the OSH Act. So we have OSH auditors, air quality auditors, fire auditors, and also noise auditors. Now, for us to be able to move forward, we must be able to know what hazards are at the workplace, because we cannot talk of safety if we do not know about the hazards that are there. Are you together on that? Why is he sweeping? To remove the hazard, right? Yeah, because if he lets the broken bottles to be there, an accident will occur. So it's important to know hazards at the workplace. So we define a hazard as anything with potential to cause harm. A hazard is anything with potential to cause harm. And this harm may be in form of an accident or disease. So it's important we know that. And hand in hand with hazards, we also have other terminologies that will always be there in safety. Risk. So risk is the likelihood of a hazard to cause harm and severity of the harm. So when we'll be talking about the hazards from aquaculture, hazards in fisheries, we'll actually be looking at those things that can cause harm. We have 6 types of hazards at workplaces, namely mechanical hazards. These are involved with moving machinery. Physical hazards. These could be the various forms of energies. Chemical hazards, biological hazards, physiological or ergonomic hazards, and also psychological hazards. Both fisheries and aquaculture have hazards, and as such, it's important to be able to identify them, to mitigate them, ensuring healthy and safe workplaces. So examples of aquaculture hazards are bites and stings from aquatic organisms, fall on the level due to obstruction or uneven surfaces, falls from height, slips, trips, drowning, pricks from hooks, scales, heat exposure, salt exposure, cut by coral reefs, chemical exposure. We have treatments going on over there. Maybe we could be doing spraying against the Legionella bacteria. We could be doing chemical application against algae. We could be using disinfectants, pesticides, etc. So these will pose chemical exposure to the workers. And if we don't use proper measures, then the workers will be exposed to those chemical hazards. Also, other hazards are working posture, lifting of heavy workloads, long working hours, dust exposure from the feeds, noise exposure at the processing areas, legionellosis due to contaminated waterways, stress, etc. Examples of fisheries hazards are rough seas, high waves, storms, which pose significant risks, cold temperatures leading to hypothermia, sun exposure that can lead to heat exhaustion, slippery decks, increasing the risk of falls, moving machinery parts, Overloaded or improperly loaded vessels may capsize, and this is very real. Fires and electrical hazards, falling overboard, improper use, absence of personal floating devices, and also absence of personal protective equipment. Those would be examples of hazards in fisheries. Man overboard, for one reason or another, a person can fall into the waters. Lack of safety drills and rescue procedures. When danger comes, we find that we don't know how to go about it because we've not been having the safety drills. So that's a hazard. Exposure to fuel, lubricants, and cleaning agents. Exposure to refrigerants used for fish preservation. Release of toxic substances by submarine animals. Infectious diseases from handling fish and shellfish. Bites or stings from marine animals. Infestation by parasites from some fish species. Improper hygiene. High noise from engines, winches, and processing equipment. Repetitive motion in fish processing can also cause injuries. Heavy lifting and awkward positions will strain the body. Improper lifting techniques also. Lack of or improper ergonomic tools leading to effects on the body. Isolation and long periods away from home. High stress work environment, financial pressures, and job insecurity. Now, just knowing hazards by itself does not mean that we have solved anything. So let us look at hazards mitigation. There are 3 steps in hazards mitigation. The first step is recognition. We have to recognize the hazard. And we do this through observation while working, through workplace inspections, the plant examinations, medical examinations, etc. Then after recognizing the hazards, we need to measure. So there is evaluation. So this involves method of measuring the hazardous levels using scientific methods and comparing results with the national or international standards. And then, having gotten the results of the measurements, then we are in a position to come to the 3rd stage, which is making decision on the controls to apply using the results of the levels of the evaluation. But we go to controls. When coming up with controls, there are 2 types of strategies. The first strategy is having a safe work environment. In this strategy, the hazards are eliminated, thus making the workplace safe. Are we together on that? The second strategy is known as the safe person strategy. In this strategy, it is the second and the last one. We are unable to achieve a safe work environment strategy. So what do? We now protect the worker by issuing what? PPE. So note that we should always strive to have a safe work environment. If that is not possible, then we go to the safe person strategy by issuing the PPE. Thank you.
Tell your colleague, at least I can know the types of audits. And ensure the person has told you the type of audit that she has taken or he has taken. And which strategy does she or he use when such an eventuality occurs. Right? And we find, based on our title of the Safer Livelihood in Fishing and Aquaculture, there is a lot of things that we need to do in matters of OSH. Right? There is a very, very big gap that we need to fill. Having heard from the government representative, it is also good to understand the role of the community people. What are they doing? And we are going to look at the protecting the vulnerable workers, more so the women, youth, and at-risk people within our community. And looking on matters of the hidden hazard in post-harvest and aquaculture, and the issues of injury and harassment prevention, and applying the ILO decent work principle. And this one will be done by Mr. Nicholas Okeyo, an executive director and research coordinator of Marine for Action. And before Mr. Okeyo comes on board, allow me to take you through his bio. Mr. Nicholas Okeyo is an executive director and research coordinator in Marine for Action. He holds a master's degree in marine and lucration management and a bachelor degree in fisheries and oceanography with over 3 years of experience. Nicholas has worked extremely in sustainable fisheries, advocacy, environment, education, and climate adaptation initiative with a strong focus on community engagement and evidence-based conservation approach. Let's put our hands together as we welcome Mr. Nicholas.
Just like you've been told, I'll take you through protecting vulnerable workers, women, youth, and at-risk groups, focusing on, or maybe in the honor of these workshops theme, Safer Livelihood in Fishing and Aquaculture. Yeah, we all understand the importance of fisheries to local economies, that is blue economy sector, livelihoods, employment, also in terms of food. And it's also important that we also understand the characteristics of the global and as well as the local fisheries in Kenya. So there are a number of commonalities, that is the limited safety measures, limited regulatory oversight, hazardous working conditions, and also opaque supply chain. It's not known whom they sell to, at what point do they sell it, and all these increase the risk and all these increase risk exposure and also the prevalence of hazards. So you've been told by the previous presenter what hazard is. I will also just take you through shortly that an hazard is a hazard is any biological, chemical, or physical agent that is likely to cause illness or injury when not controlled. And in this case, we are going to stick to 3 types because it's in post-harvest and aquaculture. That's for focusing between the capture and the consumption. So the biological hazards are usually caused by microorganisms and parasites. And chemical hazards, we have contaminants, toxins in aquaculture, settings, and physical types include or are caused by foreign objects or mishandling. That's rough handling, throwing fish, and all these can cause a cast to the fish, and it provides an entry route for the microorganism. These impact the safety or threaten the food safety and the security, and as well as the stability of the blue economy. So globally, or in developing countries, up to 70% of the harvest is lost, and it tells you that it's like we only bank on 30% of it, and it tells you that there's a big problem. And up to 10 to 12 million tons of fish or the seafood is lost through post-harvest losses. So there's much to be done about that. How can we control these hazards? Like in heavy metals, there can be advice to consumers on the species and the frequency of consumption. So you really get to be updated on the toxicity of these seafoods and other things. Drug residues in the aquaculture, that's the antibiotics. There is need for proper or good aquaculture practices. This involves consulting technicians and also the right dosage in aquaculture farms. Toxins, we can control this through monitoring toxicity. of fish or shellfish. And as well as the microorganism, when we have adequate control of handling and storage practices, we ensure that we rapidly chill fish after harvest to avoid spoilage. And also for the physical hazards, we can ensure that we handle fish properly. We don't just throw fish, we just step on fish. The next slide will be on injury and harassment prevention. Globally, the work-related fatalities amounts to 2.78 million deaths annually. And up to 50% is recorded in developing countries. So it tells you that in developing countries, there's a lot of problems, and we need to jointly ensure that we do something about that. And as you can see on the graphs, we try to sample the fatalities since 2022 to 2025 in Lamu, Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale. And you are able to see the linear regression there, that it is increasing. And we need to ask ourselves, why is this happening? Despite some caused by the Coast Guards and the government in beating this. So work-related harassment in Africa, 1 in 2 women are harassed. So if I ask you right now, now imagine in every 2, there's one of you, at least one of you, which has ever been harassed. And that is really sad. And up to 86% of sexual harassment cases are not reported. They go unreported. So we need to highlight why is that happening. And we'll also take you through some 2 categories, basic categories of injuries, the fatal and non-fatal. For the fatal injuries, they are usually caused by vessel capsizing due to poor vessel maintenance, overloading, severe weather conditions, and also boat collisions. Another one is murder. That there's a resource use conflict that pits the fishers against the authorities, and also fall at sea due to slippery surfaces on board. Non-fatal one, we have cuts from knives during processing parts of it, and also bites from animal sharks, hippos. Yeah, so it's also a problem there. There are also falls due to slippery surfaces and strain. The strains is all about ergonomics. The previous presenter talked about it, and there is also need to ensure that we minimize the manual lifting of the catch. There's also high and respiratory distress. You understand that the conditions at sea is really so cold, and there are some fishers who go there for like almost the whole night, so they get exposed to cold, and which cause them some problems. And most of these, or some of these, are caused by lack of PPEs, especially the casts and bites, and also sunburn. We can use the goggles. So you realize that the study which was done highlighted that the fishers who use PPEs at work is only 12% out of 100%. So we need to understand why do we have only 12% with the PPEs and not 88% or 100%. So we look at the challenges to this. We have climate change that causes stronger storms that leads to boat capsizing, and also limited emergency response. You realize that there's a vessel somewhere that might be, or maybe people stranded at sea, and it takes time for the emergency response to reach them. This makes them even delay on board, and we might lose them as well. There's limited access to medical care and fisher insurance. We understand that the landing sites are isolated, and in case of any emergency, it is really so difficult to address that. And the weak enforcement of regulation. You understand that the officers at times they are few, and also they don't patrol regularly. So it creates a room for the mess to persist. There's also lack of low fisher perception of risk. They downplay risk. they tell you that they have been fishers for a long time, so they understand the oceans and whatever, but they end up, getting lost, and we lose them. Lack of data and research. There is limited data on the fatality at sea. So it makes it even more so difficult, to even protect the fishers based on the research and the data that has been collected. And we need as well to work on that, in addition to economic pressure and So on harassment cases, we have various forms. There's sexual exploitation, that's sex for fish. The rape, verbal and physical abuse, social and cultural discrimination, where it is believed that it is only men who should do what, who should be on board. And there's also execution from BMU leadership. And what do you think? Well, then the challenges to this, we understand there's the low literacy levels among the women, fishers, youth, and this, you realize that they don't understand the system well, that they need to report these cases. And there's also cultural stereotype that I just explained. Weak enforcement, we understand, and also ineffective reporting mechanism. In this case, there's no confidential reporting mechanisms. So they fear of being victimized by the male colleagues, and we need to work on that as well. So how do we mitigate all this? We have injury and harassment. We can as well adopt the mandatory PPE on board, and also ensure that the gears, that's the vessels, the gear, they are safe for use. The ergonomics, we can install pulleys on board to minimize the manual lifting, and also training. So we need to train our fishers on board on how to handle emergencies, how to use PPEs. And also on the harassment side, we have reporting mechanisms and trainings as well. We need to provide confidential reporting mechanisms. Locally, we have some standards such as work injury benefits. I think they were highlighted by the previous presenter. How do we apply decent work principles in fisheries? We have the high-low decent work principle, that by definition, decent work refers to productive employment that leads to fair income, security at work, social protection and freedom, focusing on freedom of expression, or to organize and participate in decisions that affect their lives. And it is pegged on 4 agendas, that is employment, social protection, social dialogue, and rights at work. So the application is as follows. In rights at work, we need to ensure that we eliminate forced labor and trafficking. We protect migrant workers. For instance, in Kwale, there is the Pemba guys, right? The Pemba in Kwale. So at times there is resource use conflict, but we need to protect them as well. Elimination of child labor. This is usually at some parts of the coast, but it persists. And I think for an enforcement team, you can work on that as well. Freedom of association. This is allowing the fishers, the workers, women to associate and also to collectively bargain. On the conditions of work, I think that this one we highlighted in the previous slide. But also there's work agreements whereby you ensure that you sign the contracts and all those. You ensure that you adhere to the working hours, and you also rise to ensure that there is minimal harassment and also injuries. On the ocean living conditions, we have safety training that should be implemented, and also safety equipment, and as well as ensuring that the workers are medically fit. And also on the social protection, we have the data collection, labor inspection. You ensure that the boats or vessels at sea are inspected to ensure that they comply with the regulation. They don't employ children or youth, and also they don't harass their workers. So for this case, I would ask you, how free, safe, and stable are your workers and clients at work as employers and also the players in the sector? Yep. Any question? Thank you for listening anyway. Any question? Yep. Which slide? Yeah. Which one? No, slide now. Oh yeah, this one, eh? Yep. Sorry? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. Any question?
If we don't have data, how shall we make a precise decision in regards to fishes and in regards to safer livelihood? Right? And this informs that the existing gaps that Mr. Nicholas have really articulated. It calls for a collective responsibility from all stakeholders in the room and also those who are online. And we need to traject it in line with the solution that we need to bring on board in regards to the safety of our fishes and in regards to increased production of fish and the sustainability of the aquaculture ecosystem. We got to also get insight from the Ocean Center Kenya presentation. We shall learn what is all about ocean centers, and she will take us through. We shall invite Madam Olive Mumbo, the country lead of Ocean Centers, and allow me also to take you through the bio of Madam Olive Mumbo so that you can understand. Olive Mumbo is a dynamic leader driving Kenya's vision of the sustainable and inclusive blue economy. As a country project manager at the Ocean Center Kenya, hosted by Global Compact Network Kenya, under the UN Global Compact Ocean Center and the Livelihoods Register Foundation. She is leading effort to shape the nation ocean economy strategies. She holds masters in European law, human rights, and democracy from the University of Padua. A Bachelor of Law from the Strathmore University, and is licensed to practice advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Olive champion ocean governance rooted in science, equity, and community innovation. I believe we are Yuko. I believe we are Yuko. Let's put our hands together for Mrs. Olive Mumbo. Karibu sana.
So I'm going to just run through a quick presentation in terms of just trying to engage you and explain, as I was already receiving questions before the tea break in terms of why we are here, who we are, just more so just explaining a bit of our mandate and the likes. Okay, next slide, please. So for us, we are Ocean Centers Kenya, and we are a partnership initiative by the UN Global Compact, as you can see by the logos, and we are hosted by the UN Global Compact Network Kenya, as we heard from our ED earlier, Judy Njino, coming in to give the opening remarks. And we are supported by Lloyd's Register Foundation, a UK-based charity organization. Next slide, please. For us, our focus is putting safety at the heart of sustainability. Basically, we are trying to be as inclusive as possible, and as much as our focus, as I will mention later, we have 4 thematic action areas. Our anchoring theme is safety. And as you heard from the previous speakers, we have the focus being on occupational safety and health in order to protect who you are and to understand also what are some of your needs in terms of the blue economy and the ocean space. For us, we try to address the safety challenges by being as inclusive as possible. And we are going by the UN theme, not leaving anyone behind. And we are trying to engage, as you've seen from the audience in the room. Even I'm surprised, I was not anticipating this number of attendees, and it's quite appreciated to see on the ground that you're actually listening to us and coming in to engage in that regard. And we are trying to be as inclusive as possible and include women, youths, and also extending towards marginalized communities. And that is why we are not only focusing on working with the County of Mombasa, but also last year, Judy and I were able to also visit the County of Kilifi and also engage the county government as well in that regard, and also the beach management units, and also trying to understand kwa ground vitu ziko aje. So we know this statement as Kenyans, right? Yes, kwa ground vitu ni tofauti. And that's where we come in the context that we don't want to be a pillar of coming in and telling you this is what you're supposed to do, but instead we're coming to listen to you and understand what exactly needs to be done and what are your needs and what exactly can be improved in the system. And that's why we are here today. And parcel of this is that we're doing these workshops, and we have to do a series of 8 workshops in total. And now we are in workshop number 6, which is going to focus on fishing and aquaculture. And after my presentation, you're gonna have a bit of a group discussion to sort of just go into context and analyze and answer a few questions that are more relatable to your current situation and current state in the blue economy. So that's just a little bit about us. Next slide, please. So we are actually arrived here on Tuesday, and yesterday we were meeting a few stakeholders within Mombasa, and this is basically just a slide explaining where we are globally. In Africa, we are in Kenya and Ghana. We have also an ocean centers in Brazil, India, Bangladesh, Philippines, and Indonesia. And fortunately for us, we are able to also host our global lead, Patricia Furtado, who you heard speaking earlier, who is in charge of all these 7 ocean centers, and she's the one who's guiding us and explaining to us what are the mandates and what are the needs and what are the expectations. And that's why she's here with us, because she wants to also interact with you and learn from you from a one-on-one perspective. By the time somebody is coming all the way from Brazil to come and listen to you, it means that your voices are being heard, and we are trying to amplify you also from not just a national and regional level, but also at an international level. So, tuko pamoja? Okay. I hope my English is okay for those who understand, for the beach management users. I know Kiswahili ndio lugha ya mtaa, but I hope tuko pamoja. Alright. So for ocean centers, we are powered by this. So we are recruiting, if you're a member, for example, a company, a regulator, a think tank, academia, research institute, trade union, basically this entire slide, as you can see, if you fall in any of these ambwith, then you're eligible to join Ocean Centers Kenya. And the membership is free. And you'll find on your desk, there is a stakeholder expression of interest form for those who are not members of Ocean Centers and you haven't been receiving my emails or receiving emails from the Global Compacts Network. Kindly register your interest in that form. And please fill each page accordingly, because we need this information, and I will reach out to you in that regard in terms of what a membership entails and more, I think in the following slides. Next slide, please. So for us, we have 4 action areas, like I mentioned. On your tables as well, I think you have a copy of a brochure. If you don't have a copy of a brochure, you can just lift your hand up and one of the volunteers will come in and give it to you. But we've explained a little bit in terms of we have the fishing and aquaculture aspects, we have the shipping and ports, offshore renewables, and finance and investment aspect that we are all focusing on. But these are just a few quick facts based on the workshops that we've held so far. I would mention that we've noticed that as blue economy experts and or stakeholders, you're having challenges in terms of access to finance in the blue economy. That's why we held 2 workshops on the blue economy. on Blue Finance earlier on, and we've received this insight in terms of this is a gap in Kenya, Blue Finance, access to funding, and this is something that's going to be amplified going forward. And also we noticed that offshore renewables is quite untapped. Like it's not something that is being conducted in equitable manner. And we've had conversations with different stakeholders trying to understand why is this the case, and we're trying to also amplify that from not just a national level but to the international level, as I mentioned earlier on. So all your thoughts, all your considerations, all your points have been taken into consideration, and we're trying to build upon that so that beyond the 8 workshops, there'll be more that will be coming down to you and providing you services in that regard. Next slide, please. Thank you. So joining ocean centers, for us, there are 3 tiers basically of joining ocean centers. As I mentioned in the previous slide, you can join as a member because you are just in Kenya and you have your operations in Kenya and you fall in one of those AMBWITH institutions that I showed you in the previous slides. Then you can fill the stakeholder expression of interest form. Once you fill it, if you can fill it now, even better, because I'm going to collect them at the end of the workshop. If you want to take your time and go through it, my email address is there. You can fill it, send me a scanned copy. My phone number is there. If you prefer WhatsApp, just send it to me on WhatsApp. I'll download it and I'll keep it. Then I'll reach out to you later in terms of how we can engage further. And you can, previous slide, please. You can join as a knowledge partner. Basically, knowledge partners, these are technical expertise, to people with technical know-how, like the engineers and safety experts. This is an opportunity for you to join if you are in that category of technical knowledge and technical know-how. So you can join as a knowledge partner for the ocean centers. And finally, as an ally partner. As I mentioned, we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. You can join as an ally partner in regards to for example, if you are doing something in the blue economy, or probably you're not doing something in the blue economy, however, you want to support and you are interested in this initiative and you want to echo our voice at a different level. I'm going to give you an example of an ally partner. For example, if you're a poet or a singer, but you want to compose music or compose poems regarding the oceans and, safeguarding the oceans. If you're a writer and you want to put out a blog article on oceans and what's going on in the ocean and trying to communicate this, then you can join as an ally partner. Next slide, please. So this slide just kind of gives a few benefits that members of Ocean Centers Kenya have already been receiving since joining. As mentioned, we just launched last year. We are new in the market, but we are seeing that we are a voice that is being recognized, and people are coming into these workshops. As you can see, we have even at capacity, hit the capacity number of people we were actually targeting for this workshop, and this is amazing to see. Next slide, please. These are some of the benefits of joining as ocean centers as knowledge partners. Basically now, as I mentioned, this is limited to those who are technical expertise and bringing in the technical knowledge and the know-how. Next slide, please. And then finally, for the ally partners, these are some of the benefits you can receive. And don't worry, all these slides and all this information, we'll send it to you after, in the span of 24 to 48 hours. We usually work with the team in Nairobi. We will send you all this information and the video and everything and the photos, so don't worry about everything. Okay, next slide, please. Then finally, allow me to touch on what the UN Global Compact Network Kenya does. They work primarily with corporates and private sector, and they have 4 action areas, basically human rights, labor standards, environment, and anti-corruption. And they work with businesses by trying to uphold the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact and trying to advance the SDGs as a whole. And they're trying to they offer you trainings and webinars and information in how to do things in a sustainable manner. And just to mention a few members of the UN Global Compact Network Kenya, for the Kenyans who understand these stakeholders, they're working with the banks like Standard Chartered, Stanbic. They're working with insurance agencies like Jubilee. We also have Safaricom, who's a member of the UN Global Compact. So you can imagine this network is huge, and you have the opportunity to also join, but more so interact with our Executive Director, Judy Njino. She's here with us today. These are very rare opportunities, and you should take this up, in my opinion. Next slide, please. So with the UN Global Compacts, as I mentioned, they work with the private sector. So if you're a business or even a non-profit organization, you're eligible to join. And by filling the form and also the registration form, probably later some of our colleagues will reach out to you to express interest in terms of joining this amazing mandate. Next slide, please. And by participating, these are some of the benefits that you're going to receive. You'll be a voice, not just from a regional perspective, like I mentioned, but also on an international perspective in terms of sustainability, having these conversations with high-level individuals. Opportunities are available for you to come in and join and be supported in terms of how to run your business sustainably, how to do things in an equitable manner, because they also have several accelerators ranging from gender equality to climate change, anti-corruption programs that will be beneficial to you. Next slide, please. And yeah, that's just about it. My presentation is done. For those who have the expression of interest form on your desk, I was not anticipating as many attendees. Kindly fill it. If not, take your time, fill it, send it to me on email. My email is over there. You can send it to me on WhatsApp for those who find that more convenient, as I can understand. And there's a QR code that's on the screen for those who didn't have the forms in physical format. You can always scan this QR code and then fill the form online, because it's the process and the form that you have present is the same. Thank you. I'll allow our moderator to continue with the next phase of the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olive. Ulize mwenzako, bado unatafuta center? Muulize, bado unatafuta Ocean Center? Muulize amepata? Amekujibu aje? Amekwambia aje? Hiyo center iko tayari? Center iko kwa Ocean ndani, si ndio? Mwambie, me and you, we are the Ocean Center. Me and you, we are the Ocean Center. And we have a collaborative responsibility to add this center. Right? If you're still looking for a center, the center is here. And the center is me and you. The center is not in the ocean. Ndani ya ocean, achia watafiti. Center iko ha? And Mumbo have just reminded us. If you are not on the table of decision making, you are not a member, you are not an ally, you are not a knowledge partner. So where are you? Where are you? It means that therefore you will not be in the center. Are we together? And this now brings to a very vital moment of group discussion. And we shall request that we go into a group of 3. Only 3 groups.
Our case study, this is what we have. You are fish traders and transporters in Mombasa. You buy fish from landing sites, store them in local markets, and deliver them to hotels and restaurants. Risks include heavy lifting, slippery surfaces, poor cold chain management, and harassment of women vendors. Transportation often uses unsafe vehicles. Discussion questions. So number 1, we were looking at safety risks and barriers. And the question is, what occupational hazards and environmental risks do traders and transporters face? And we were lucky to have some of the answers here. So the paper is just telling us, for example, accidents, spoiled fish, harassment. And so from this, we answered 2 questions that ago. So the first one is, what occupational hazards and environmental risks do traders and transporters face? And the second one, so let me just answer that. So the first hazard is slippery surfaces. We also have bad weather at times. We also have injuries. So these injuries might occur when people are transporting these fish from one place to another and maybe sorting them. The other thing is cleanliness of landing places, lack of proper PPEs, and harassment. So harassment can occur to both ladies and also from the men who are in these areas. And then the second question is, what prevents safer work conditions? And we captured, our laws are not up to date. In brackets, OSHA, weak regulations and enforcement. There's lack of awareness. There's also lack of cold storage units and financial constraints. On to our second questions, the short-term actions. What immediate interventions can we take to improve safety in markets and transport? So we looked at sensitization. So there's no sensitization in these areas. There are maybe provision of PPEs. As someone said, one of the presentations here, someone was saying that they saw someone somewhere and the floor was slippery and this person did not have even shoes or even gloves when handling the fish. Then there's secured food storage to avoid contamination. Question number 3, operational and technical adjustments. What equipment upgrades, safety procedures, or maintenance practices could be applied quickly? So number 1, cooler boxes. We just discovered that there are companies that provide cooler boxes and kill bags for the people handling the fish at the landing stations. They also give them ice to facilitate this process. There's also building hand washing stations and scheduled frequent equipment cleaning. On to number 4, medium or long-term and policy recommendations. What recommendations can you give policy makers and industry actors to ensure safe, sustainable, and equitable fish trading? So we have 2 points here. So number 1 is, we have cold chain storage facilities. And number 2, deployment of OSH practitioners at BMU level. If you have any question, please, you can shoot it to our group. I was just reading and writing. I might not know much.
Thank you for being genuine. You are just reading and writing. Makofi moja kwake. 2 kwa group. Nimesema 2 kwa group. 2 kwa group. Thank you. Let's go to group 2. In your body, there is a very important part, which is the central part of your body, which is the stomach. And that one is group 2. Anu wako hapo katikati. Wacha tuwasikize, si ndio? Karibu sana.
Hi everyone. Our case study was you manage aquaculture ponds and a small fish processing facility in Mombasa. Workers spend long hours feeding fish, cleaning ponds, and processing catch for urban markets. Women and youth make up most of the workforce. PPE is scarce, and exposure to chemicals and waterborne pathogens is a concern. Our first discussion question is safety, risks, and barriers. What hazards do workers face in aquaculture ponds and processing areas? The ones listed here are chemicals, lifting heavy fish, slippery floors. And the hazards that we discussed, away from those ones mentioned, are drowning, fatal falls, having cuts, lack of PPEs, which will lead to skin disease and waterborne diseases, lack of training for the workers, and long working hours for the workers, which will lead to fatigue. The barriers: ignorance due to illiteracy, weak enforcement by the leaders, and lack of resources. Our second discussion question, short-term actions. What practical steps can you implement immediately to protect workers? PPE provision, safe lifting techniques, and cleaning routines. We discussed training workers on basic needs such as first aid, creating awareness, implementing the trainings for all workers, introduction of shifts to reduce long working hours, enhance facility structure to reduce risks such as faults, and have audits to identify gaps on improvements. The third question, capacity building and training. What skills or training programs could be offered to workers in the short term to improve safety and efficiency? Emergency response, safe handling and hygiene. We discussed chemical and hazard training, emergency preparedness, introducing swimming lessons to avoid drowning, understand hazards in the workplace, and train on importance of PPEs and first aid. The last question, medium and long-term industry recommendations. What long-term measures should the industry adopt to ensure safety, decent, and sustainability? We discussed management plan structure focuses on gender equality, gender equality, annual audits to enhance improvements and gaps, safety committees that have quarterly meetings, employee representatives, insurance for medical health cover and fair wages, and compliance officers to ensure the rules and regulations. Thank you.
Niliwaomba makofi ya kienyeji. Nimeomba kweli. Okay, let's give them 3 factorial clap. At a count of 1, 2, 3, go. I'll give you a punishment. At a count of 1, 2, 3, a factorial clap. The listening is a problem. 1, 2, 3, go. Thank you. Now I can promote you to senior school. Now, we go to group 1. The flag bearers. Huyu ndio Sifuna. Ameomba power, si umeona amechukua hapo. Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon. Nimepewa power na group 1. Okay, we were working on this. You are a small-scale fishers operating from Mombasa main landing sites. You use small boats and traditional gears. Some boats are old and PPE is limited. You also transport fish to nearby markets in improvised vehicles. So number 1, safety risks and barriers. What are the main occupational safety hazards you face at sea and landing sites? So we divided them into 2. At sea, we have unsafe boats. We have unpredictable weather, boat coalition, drowning, mental fatigue, limited PPEs, and also lack of emergency preparedness, as well as slow response. That's vessel traffic systems. And at the landing sites, we have safety hazards, we have strains. It can be neck strains or muscle strain due to heavy lifting or manual lifting. We have we can have fight at the sites because the fish are scramble for the catch. Also, we have ad economy that we attributed to. No, I think I overlapped a little bit. We have poor storage and transport condition, or simply poor storage at the sites, and also lack of sanitation facilities at the landing site. So the next one is the barriers that prevent this. We have lack of financial resources, also an unpredictable weather pattern. There's also corruption that prevents the safer practices. There's limited access to PPEs, both at the landing site and also at sea. We have also economic vulnerability that leads to also unsafe conditions because fishers lack resources to purchase these PPEs. There's also lack of safety training. You find that there's fishers who go on board without the proper training. They even don't know how to swim at times. They don't know how to handle the machines on board. There's also lack of insurance. So with the lack of insurance cover, you realize that it is difficult to address emergency or maybe injuries at sea when the fishers get involved. Number 2, short-term actions. short-term actions. What immediate steps can you take to improve safety at sea and landing stations? One, we can implement the provision of proper gears and gear maintenance. So we ensure that the fishing vessels are well maintained and they also use the right PPEs on board. We can also have law enforcement. We ensure that those people who are entrusted with the power to control these resources do the proper patrolling. We also have BMU accessibility. So we ensure that we have more, the BMUs are more accessible, so to ensure that there is a proper coordination as well during catch at landing. We also have avoiding overloading. At times the fishers really overload. You find that the vessel which are supposed to just carry say 6 people or 4 people, they carry excess of 10, 8, 10. And a number of them, such as fixing VTS in the boats, and also provision of storage facilities. We ensure that the fishers have a reliable storage facility where when they already have the catch, they can land the fish and it get well stored. Operational policy adjustments. We have what simple rules, protocols, operational practices could your group adopt without major investment? Those are under that we have we proposed the group proposed continuous sensitization. So in this case, when they have the BMU main things, they can sensitize each other on the needs for safety on board. And also visual signature or signs at the BMU offices. We have the charts so that I highlight the protocol, the sets of the protocol that they need to follow, so that they ensure that they are well aware of the danger. We also have safety communication. In terms of emergencies, you can communicate in case of bad weather, that there's a storm, there's high tide. So they are just based on the information that is provided. Also, hygiene protocols at the sites. They ensure that the site is hygienic and the material that they use to store fish are clean. We also proposed recording of incidents to ensure that we improve on future handling cases and we minimize injuries. Long-term, medium, long-term, and policy recommendations. What long-term actions policies would help protect small-scale fishes? The group proposed the following. We can install solar panels to ensure that there's reliable power to minimize spoilage at the sites. There's also a provision of water at the BMU. We ensure that there's piped water or clean water throughout. That can ensure that they do well processing and using clean water. Collaborating with the local authorities. This in terms of coordination, we have ensured that the authorities collaborate with the fishers, BMU management. Also, provision of navigation and where they equip, navigation and weather information. We ensure that they have the GPS to ensure that in case of any distress, they can communicate that. There's also regular monitoring to ensure that that safety protocols are followed on board and as well as the landing sites. And also there's social protection which was proposed here. We ensure that they also have the insurance cover. Any other? We also have the coordination between the regulators and actors. I think we discussed this in the previous points. And as well as you finance or maybe provide the proper vessels or modernization of boats. So to ensure that they have well boats which can really help them in accessing the sea and also during emergencies. Yeah, any question? Any question to our group? No question. Thank you.
Invite the closing reflection and the next step. Before I invite Patricia Fudatu, allow me to remind you that mimi ndio Stella Sululu Ekrol, sawa? AKA the governor, the moderator. Mimi ndio Sululu. Makofi moja kwangu. I'm still reminding you that our conference was on safer livelihood in fishing and aquaculture. And on that, allow me to welcome Madam Patricia Fudatu to give us key takeaways and follow-up on action. Thereafter, the Ocean Center, Olive Mumbo, will take it over. Thank you for listening to me.
Come, Olive, come. I cannot be here alone, so come, Olive. Because you are saying that it's about me and you, and it's about us also. And I'm so happy to be here with Olive and to thank you so much for the incredible work you are doing. Thanks, Judy, for all the support of of UN Global Compact here in Kenya. And it's great to see, when I'm talking about your energy doing that, it's the energy of Kenyan people somehow, you see. And even when I was listening to you before, we want to listen, we want to work, we want to collaborate. You have already a lot here, guys. And Judy was saying Kenya is the biggest UN Global Compact network in Africa. Olive is doing a great job here. It's not by chance that Kenya was one of the countries chosen to host the ocean centers. And it's not by chance that now in June, Mombasa will host the Our Ocean Conference. That is a big international conference that takes place each year in one different country. And it's the first time in Africa. And it was in Kenya, in Mombasa. So you see the powerful environment we have here to do the work we want to do and to do the work that our fishermen, those who are working in aquaculture, they need us. Because sometimes it's difficult for them from working in the conditions they are, in the environments they were, to raise our voices. So you are the ones who can really amplify their voices. So your participation at the ocean centers, it's so important. And I was following the presentations here. So many important insights you brought. I could say, I am so proud of the work that Kenya is doing through the ocean centers. So count on us. It's not a short-term initiative. This is just the first year. So those who didn't have the opportunity to engage yet will still have the opportunity to engage. We are talking that it's meant to be a 5-year project, initiative. So there's a lot to be done. And we know that we need time to build another safety culture and time to implement the changes we want to implement. Considering occupational safety health and looking at the challenges that we have here in Kenya to really implement the Convention 188. Everything is so recent, it needs time, but it needs effort, collective effort to make the changes we want to see. I can just really thank you so much for welcoming me, but more than that, for the work and the engagement that I see here. Thank you so much. And now, Miss Olive. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank you everyone for coming in today, including even our Muslim brothers and sisters who are fasting and in Ramadan. We are here with you guys as well and taking you all into consideration. So in terms of next steps, I think I'm going to announce that we're going to have lunch. It's going to be at Nautica Restaurant on ground floor. Just take the stairs, then it's on the right somewhere there. You have the staff members who can always direct you. I want to give thanks not only to you attendees, but also Patricia and Judy for being here, because if it wasn't for them, then Ocean Centers Kenya would not have existed in the first place. So, tuwapige makofi tafadhali. Thank you. And also, I want to thank 3 of my very esteemed volunteers. Every time I come to Mombasa, I'm always looking for them. Kindly, Clinton, stand up. Moventa and Alexis, kindly stand up so that the audience can also take you guys into consideration. Thank you. I don't know where Alexis is. Clinton, they're outside. It's all right. And also take into consideration, I was once a volunteer and I was once an intern. These are individuals who are coming to have this high-level interaction with you guys. During lunch, if you can assist 1 or 2 of them, actually one of them is their father is an Ocean Centers Kenya member, and they actually asked me, since you're coming to Mombasa and meeting different stakeholders, kindly assist my daughter. She's in Mombasa. She just needs an internship. So if anyone in the room from Mombasa, if you can offer Moventa, she's there. So she's gonna talk to you guys. And also Clinton is a student at Technical University of Kenya, and also I think also other people as well are there. As Alexis is also a student at Technical University of Kenya, so of Mombasa, apologies. So those are people who every time we have a workshop here, we contact them and they're always ready to support in one way or the other. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have managed, everything in terms of organizing and keeping you guys astride. And also for those I mentioned, we've taken translation into consideration. That's why some of you are receiving programs in English and some in Kiswahili. Reason being, we're also trying to be as inclusive as possible in terms of the language, because I understand beach management units lugha yenye mnaelewa ni Kiswahili, si ndio? Yeah, so we have to take that into consideration also as we are going along. And then, after lunch, we want to just have 30-minute meeting it's a private meeting for Ocean Centers Kenya members in Mombasa. Patricia, myself, and Judy want to just have a private conversation with you guys. We had a similar conversation with the breakfast meeting with the Ocean Centers members in Nairobi, and also we're taking into consideration those who are members in Mombasa. Kindly remain behind after lunch. We're coming back here for just a brief, get to know you. We want to listen to you from a personal perspective. And that's it from me. The media team wants to take photos of us, and they said they're going to do it outside here. So after Stella closes with the word of prayer and whatnot, we're going to have the media banner over there, and we're going to take a group photo with all of us. Everyone's okay? Tuko poa? Yes.
Clap the hands to our moderator.
Yes. Stella. If it wasn't for you, I don't know what I would have done. But thank you so much for being an amazing moderator. And thank you, Margaret from Stella Maris, for allowing Stella to come in and assist us. Thank you. Okay, back to Stella. Tufunge, si ndio?
Tuna jambo. Msiseme ground hii kusikizwa. Kuna mtu mwenye akona jambo. Kwa sauti ya kwanza, ya pili, na ya tatu, tumefunga. As Alia said, I'm Stella Sululu from Stella Maris. And maybe part of the job that we do, we support seafarers and fishers all over the world. We work with the seafarers, and most of the time, we think that the seafarers wanakuanga na pesa. However, remember, these people works a lot at the sea to ensure that the commodities, the phones, and different electronic gadgets that you're having, they arrive to us. Some of them, they leave their families for a very long time. Some of them also, they go through psychosocial and mental health problems. And that's where the occupational safety health comes in, right? And also, we have a program on IFFS on matters of looking on the safety of the fishers. And that's where we ask, between the fisher and the fish, who comes first? We give them fishing safety skills and also matters of first aid. And I appreciate when the officer from OSH was talking about the committees of safety, right? So within the fishing community, we need to have the committees of safety. How washughulikie watu wao na mapema. And that's why we've been running that program of fisher safety across these 4 counties, Kilifi, Mombasa, Taita Taveta, and also Kwale at large.